boys and girls. The Junie B. Jones book I have for this week is called Junie B. Jones and the Mushy, Gushy Valentine. This book has 8 chapters in it. And did you know how many Junie B. Jones books we've read? I guess I never paid attention, but when I open up the first page, there's this whole list here. This is book number 14. We have read 14 Junie B. Jones books. That's amazing. Well, 13, because there was one that I couldn't find. Book number 7 is called Junie B. Jones Loves Handsome Warren. So I don't know where that one is, but we've read 12. This will be our 13th Junie B. Jones book. That's a lot. Let's get started. Chapter 1, Party Ideas. My name is Junie B. Jones. The B stands for Beatrice, except I don't like Beatrice. I just like B, and that's all. I go to school in room 9. Room 9 is where they have afternoon kindergarten. Also, they have morning kindergarten, only I am not familiar with that arrangement. Today at school, my teacher had an announcement to make. Announcement is the school word for listen to me and I mean it. My teacher's name is Mrs. She has another name too, but I just like Mrs. and that's all. Mrs. told us that we were going to have a special day in room 9, and it's called Valentine's Day. She said that Valentines are special cards about friendship, and all of us in room 9 are going to give them to each other. My bestest friend Lucille squealed real happy. Ooh, I love getting cards, teacher, she said. I especially love getting the kind with money in them. Money is my favorite kind of mail. Me too, Lucille, I said. Money is my favorite kind of mail too, plus also I enjoy Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes. That's funny to your grown-ups. Mrs. did a chuckle. Well, I'm sorry, girls, but I'm afraid there won't be any money in our Valentines, she said. In room 9, we'll just be sending happy wishes to each other, but it will still be lots of fun, she smiled. We will be making a special Valentine's box to hold all the cards, and on the day of our party, I will personally deliver the cards to each of you. Just then I jumped right out of my chair, because nobody even mentioned a party before. Hooray, I yelled. Hooray for parties. Can we have a cake and donuts, Mrs.? And what about cheese, popcorn, and cotton candy, and pretzels, and candy apples? I thought some more. Plus also, we will need red licorice and peanut butter cups, probably, and chocolate-covered raisins, and, oh yeah, melted milk balls, and oh yeah, gummy bears! I looked over at her. Maybe you should be writing this down, Mrs. Mrs. shook her head no. She said we would have cupcakes, punch, and candy hearts. I sat back down very disappointed, because not much thought went into the menu, that's why. Lucille stood up. What kind of punch, teacher? She asked. Will it have fresh raspberries and strawberries floating in it? My Nana's caterer always puts fresh raspberries and strawberries in our punch, and it is delicious. After that, Lucille twirled around in her fluffy dress. And what about dancing? I'm learning ballroom dancing in my expensive dancing school, and so I would be happy to teach the children who are cheaper than me. Mrs. stared at Lucille a real long time. How very generous of you, she said. But I don't think we will be having ballroom dancing, Lucille. Jamal Hall waved his hand in the air. Then what about a puppet show? He asked. If we can't have dancing, can we have a puppet show? Yes, said a girl named Linny. Or maybe we could hire a magician. Or what about a wild animal act? Said a boy named Roger. Like a grizzly bear or a sea lion. Just then a boy named Polly Ellen Puffer ran right to the front of the room and he jumped up and down all over the place. No, wait, I've got it, I got it! He shouted real excited. We could get some of those jugglers who juggle chainsaws! After that, room 9 clapped and whistled and hooted and hollered, because who doesn't love chainsaw jugglers? That's what I would like to know. After we finished clapping, we looked at Mrs. Her head was on her desk and her eyes were staring out the door. Then all of the children in room 9 got very quiet because Mrs. was scaring us a little bit. Plus also we were out of party ideas. Chapter 2, Scribble Scraps. The next day, me and my bestest friend named Grace were playing on the playground. And guess what? We saw Mrs. carry a giant box into room 9. It was the box we were going to decorate Valentine's Day, I think. Oh wait, Valentine's Day. She says it wrong. Valentine's Day. Wowie, wow, that thing will hold a bajillion Valentine's cards, I said real thrilled. That Grace said a frown at me. Stop saying Valentine, Junie B. You keep on saying Valentime with an M sound, and you're supposed to say Valentine with an N sound. I did a frown back at her. Who said so? I said so, said that Grace. Didn't you hear my voice? I just got finished telling you that it has an N in it. The word is Valentine. I did a huffy breath at that girl. You're not the boss of my words, Grace, I said. This is a freed country, and I want to say Valentime, and I will not even go to jail. That Grace looked very annoyed at me. I didn't say you were going to go to jail, Junie B. I just wish you would say the word the right way, that's all. Yeah, well, we can't always have what we wish for, Grace, I told her. I wish Valentine had an M in it, but it doesn't, does it? After that, me and that Grace made squinty eyes at each other. Plus also we crossed our arms and we tapped our angry feet. Only pretty soon we got tired of that because fighting with your friends is not that fun. That's how come we both hugged each other and we said apology. Sorry, Junie B, said Grace. Sorry I tried to be the boss of your words. Sorry, Grace, I said back. Sorry, Valentine doesn't have an M in it. After that, we both held hands and we skipped all around the room to room 9. That is called the victory skip. And guess what else? After we got to room 9, Mrs. said it was time to decorate the Valentine's box. Everybody quick sat down in their seats. Then we watched Mrs. cover the box with shiny white paper, plus also she cut a mail slot in the top. After that, all the children got out scissors. And we cut out paper hearts to paste onto the sides. I cut mine the fastest. Look, Mrs., look, I said. I'm already done cutting my heart, and so I will have the fastest scissors in room 9 probably. Just then, a meanie boy named Jim jumped up from his chair. No, you do not. Look over there. I already cut 2 hearts. See, 1, 2. So ha-ha on you, he said. I quick cut another heart. Yeah, well, now I have 2, too, and so you are not the winner anymore, meanie Jim. Jim held up one more. 3, he yelled. I just cut number 3, so I'm still ahead of you. I made my scissors go speedy fast. Ha, now I have 3, too, so there, I said. Jim did a fast snip. 4, I'm up to 4, he said. That's how come I got frustration inside of me. Stop it, Jim, stop cutting so fast, and I mean it. After that, I tried to cut one more heart, but my scissors went very out of control, and my heart turned out like a scribble scrap. Darn! Now look what you made me do! I hollered real mad at him. All of a sudden, a big hand came flying over the top of my head, and it snatched my scissors right out of my fingers. I bent my head back to see who it was. It was Mrs. I did a gulp. I was afraid it was you, I said. Then Mrs. went to Jim's table, and she snatched his scissors, too. And so me and him had to sit in our chairs for the rest of the day, and we didn't get to decorate the Valentine's box. Because our cutting days were over, that's why. And our pacing days never even got started. Boys and girls, I just noticed. I didn't change that number 1 to number 2 for the chapter 2. Oops. Oh, well. I guess it's going to go to 3 now. Chapter 3. Picking Out Valentines. The Valentine's box turned out very beautiful. After it was finished, Mrs. passed out the list for us to take home. The list had the names of all the children in room 9. There are 18 children in our class, said Mrs. So that means everyone needs to bring in 18 Valentines. I raised my hand. Do we bring in Valentines for ourselves too? Well, no, she said. I mean, there's no rule against it, I suppose, but Valentines are really supposed to be given to others. She thought for a second. Oops, I guess that means I made a mistake, doesn't it? She said. Since you won't be bringing in cards for yourselves, you will only need to bring in 17 Valentines. I raised my hand again. Yeah, but what if you want to bring a Valentine for you, Mrs.? I asked. Mrs. raised her eyebrows. Well, did you hear a noise? Did you hear that? Uh-oh, I think my washer needs help. Hold on, I'll be right back. Whew, sorry about that. My washer was spinning out of control and started beeping, saying, help me, I'm gonna lose it. Anyway, back to the book. Oh, what if we want to bring a Valentine for you, Mrs.? I asked. Mrs. raised her eyebrows. Well, then you would be back up to 18 again, wouldn't you? She said. 17 plus 1 equals 18. I tapped my chin. Yeah, only what if there's people in here who we don't actually like? Do we have to bring them a Valentine too? Yes, Junie B, she said. Of course you do. Valentine's Day is a day of friendship for everyone, so every single boy and girl in room 9 will bring cards for every other boy and girl. After Mrs. finished explaining, she sat back down at her desk. I zoomed up there and whispered in her ear. Yeah, only I know we have to bring cards for the regular boys and girls, but do I have to bring in cards for the fat stinky heads too? All of a sudden, Mrs. throwed her arms up in the air. Yes, of course, Junie, yes you do, she said. For the last time, you will bring a card for everyone in room 9, even the big fat stinky heads. Then all of room 9 looked at her. Teachers are not supposed to say big fat stinky heads, I think. After that, Mrs. closed her eyes for a real long time, and then she finally stood up very slow, and she went to the sink, and she took medicine. The next day was Saturday, and it was the funnest Saturday ever. Because Daddy took me to the drugstore, and he bought me a beautiful heart antenna for my head. Plus, also, he let me pick out my very own box of Valentines. After we got home, Mother helped me pick out the perfect cards for everyone in room 9. First, I picked up a card for my bestest friend, Lucille. It had lovely princesses on the front of it. This one, Mother, I said. I will give Lucille this one, because when she grows up, she is going to marry an expensive prince, and she's going to let me and Grace sweep her castle. Plus, also, we will get to wear her raggedy, used-up nightgowns. Mother looked and looked at me. Lucille is a regular saint, she said, very quiet. I know it, I said. Me and Grace are lucky to have her. After that, I found the perfect card for Grace, too. It had 2 running shoes on the front of it. Mother read the words, It said, Valentine, you and I make the perfect pair. We do, Mother. Me and that Grace do make the perfect pair because Grace can beat me at running. And I can beat Grace at lots of other stuff, probably, only I haven't actually found anything yet. After that, I picked up special cards for all of the other children in room 9. Every time I picked out a Valentine, Mother crossed the name off the list. Finally, there was one name left. Jim, said Mother. You still need to pick out a card for Jim. I did a big sigh because I didn't want to give one to that guy, of course. I looked all through my box of Valentines. Then, all of a sudden, I saw a card with a funny skunk on the front. That one, I said. I will send Jim that one. Mother shook her head. I don't know, Junie, she said. A picture of a skunk doesn't seem very nice. I put it in an envelope. Perfect, I said, because neither is Jim. Chapter 4, The Disagreement. On Monday, I skipped into room 9 very thrilled. Mrs., look, I said. I have my Valentines for the Big John Valentine's box. They are right here in this paper bag I am carrying. I ran and showed her inside it. See them, Mrs.? I matched every single card to the exact person who will get it, I said. Mrs. patted my head. She said the word, good job. Then she took me by my hand and she showed me how to put my Valentines through the mail slot in the box. I do believe that you were the very first person in room 9 to bring in her cards, said Mrs. I did a gasp at that exciting news. First, Mrs., I asked. I'm really first? After that, I springed up way high in the air and I ran all around in a circle. I've never been first at anything before, I said real squealy. Not ever, never. And so what is my prize for winning? I closed my eyes and held out my hands. Put it right in my hands, okay, Mrs.? I won't even peek, I promise. After that, I stood there real patient, but nothing got put in my hands. Finally, Mrs. bended down next to my ear. Junie B, honey, I'm really sorry, but there is no prize, she said. We weren't actually having a contest. I opened my eyes. We weren't? Mrs. shook her head no. My shoulder slumped. So then a prize would be out of the question, probably. Mrs. shrugged. I'm afraid I didn't buy any prizes. After that, I rocked back and forth on my feet, and I thought, would you have a mint in your drawer, maybe, or some stickers? Mrs. smiled. Then she took me to her desk, and we looked in her drawer. How about a broken piece of chalk and a yellow rubber band? She asked. Sold, I said. After that, Mrs. told me congratulations, and she gave me my prizes. I skipped to my table to show Lucille. She wrinkled up her nose. Yuck, have you been going through the trash again? She asked. No, silly, these are my prizes, I said. I got prizes for bringing my Valentines first. Lucille smoothed her dress. Yes, well, I would have brought my cards in today too, but they're not back from the printers yet, she told me. What? I said, what printers? The printers where they print my name on the card, she said. Wait till you see them, Junie B. Every card will have love and kisses from Lucille on the bottom of it. She hugged herself. They are so beautiful, she said. Each Valentine has a cherry lollipop in the front, and the lollipop is in the shape of Cupid. She sighed very dreamy. Cupid is a symbol of Valentine's Day, you know. Of course I know, I said back. Plus also skunks and shoes are symbols of Valentine's Day too, because that's what's on my cards. After that, me and Lucille did our work till recess. Then both of us went outside to play with our other bestest friend, Grace. Sorry, I keep smiling. This book's funny. Then both of us went outside to play with our other bestest friend, Grace. Only too bad for us, because Lucille kept on bragging about Valentine's Day, and that's how come she and that Grace got into a disagreement. I'm going to get more Valentines than anyone, said Lucille. That's because the boys love me better than any other girl, and they will bring me lots and lots of cards. Grace looked curious at her. But Mrs. said to only bring in one card for every boy and girl, not lots and lots. Lucille flounced her flouncy dress. Silly Grace, look at me for goodness sake. I am precious. And so when you are precious, boys and girls will automatically bring you lots of Valentines. They just can't help themselves. She twirled around. I'm the cutest girl in room 9, Grace, she said. I'm way cuter than anyone else. She giggled and pointed. Even cuter than you. After that, Grace did a teeny frown, because that hurt her feelings, I think. I tapped on Lucille. Yeah, only Grace is the nicest, Lucille, I said. And so maybe the boys will bring her lots of Valentines, too. Lucille did a huffy breath. But I'm richer than Grace, Junie B, so that is another reason to bring me more. I thought for a minute. Okay, but Grace can run the fastest. So, said Lucille, my hair is longer and people like long hair. I looked at Grace's head. But Grace's hair is springier and curlier, and that's as cute as a button, I said. Lucille made squinty eyes. But I have the biggest TV and a pool, she said. That's what come me and that Grace leaned our heads together, and we got in a huggle. Finally, I looked up at Lucille. Okay, Here's what we came up with, I said. Grace can whistle through her teeth, plus she can wiggle her ears, and also she can dribble a basketball through her legs while she's running. Lucille jumped up and down. But I have a pony, she hollered. I patted her very sympathetically. Sorry, I said real soft. Grace has a snake. After that, Lucille's shoulders got very sagging, and she sat down in the grass because boys love snakes better than anything. Pretty soon, that Grace sat down next to Lucille, and she put her arm around Lucille's shoulders, and she patted her. Because guess what? Grace is a good sport. Chapter 5. Valentine's Time. Valentine's Day came on Friday, and guess what? My grandma Helen Miller bought me a special Valentine's outfit, and it matched my heart antennas very perfect. That day at school, I skipped all around room 9 because I was a treat for the eyes, I tell you. Finally, I sat in my seat and Mrs. took attendance. And guess what? Nobody was absent. Because who wants to miss a party? That's why. After attendance, Mrs. put on a special Valentine's apron. It had a big heart pocket in the front. Then Mrs. filled the heart pocket with Valentine's cards from the box, and she delivered them to all the children. And wait till you hear this. The very first Valentine was delivered to me, Junie B. Jones, and it said my name right in the envelope. Yahoo! I shouted real thrilled. I am first again, Mrs. Woohoo! After that, Mrs. kept on delivering cards until the whole Valentine's box was empty. Then all of us got to open up our cards, and it was as fun as a birthday party, I tell you. After Lucille finished opening her Valentines, she called Grace to our table. Come here, Grace. Come here and bring your Valentines, and then you and I can count our cards, and we will see who got the most. Grace came over. She smelled kind of nervous. Well, okay, here it goes. Then Grace put all of her Valentines in front of me and Lucille, and she counted them one by one. Pretty soon, Grace wasn't smiling anymore. Rats. I knew we shouldn't have come over here, she said. Lucille grinned a teeny bit. Why, Grace? How many did you get? You have to tell me, Grace. How many? I'm going to pause here. My goodness, this behavior from Lucille is kind of ridiculous. It does not matter how many you get, and it is definitely not a contest. Lucille should have followed the rules, and if she followed the rules and everyone else did, then everyone would get one from each kid. It doesn't matter who gets the most. My goodness, Lucille. Grace did a big sigh. I only got 17, she said. I only got one card from every person, and that's all. No extras. Lucille's face lighted up very bright. She flipped her hair all around in the air. That Lucille. She's being kind of greedy. Gee, I'm sorry to hear that, Grace, she said. Well, I suppose I should count mine now. After Lucille counted her cards in front of me and Grace, she counted them out loud. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. All of a sudden, Lucille stopped because that was it. She quick stood up at her seat and she looked all around. First, she looked under the table, then she looked on top of her chair and all over the floor. Also, she looked in her pockets and her backpack and her purse. Finally, she sat down real upset. I don't understand, she said. How could this be happening? Every day my Nana tells me how special I am, but 17 Valentines isn't special at all. 17 Valentines is just the same as everyone else. I did a sigh. Nanas, I said. You can't believe a word they say. No, that's not true, boys and girls. You can believe your Nanas and your grandmas. Grace looked cheerier. Count yours, Junie B. Count your Valentines and see if you got 17 like Lucille and me. Of course I got 17, silly Grace, I told her. Everyone in this whole room got 17. It was the rule, remember? After that, I put all my cards in a pile and I counted them out loud, just like Lucille. I did a frown. Then I counted them again. And guess what? Somebody broke the rule, that's what. I springed up in my chair. All right, people who didn't send me a Valentine, and do not try to deny it because I've only got 16 cards in my pile. I pointed my finger at Meanie Jim. It was you, mister, huh? You were the meanie hat who didn't send me one. I looked all around. Or maybe it was you, Polly Ellen Puffer. Or you, Charlotte, who I actually don't know your last name. Or you, Roger. Or just then Mrs. swooped me out of my chair. My goodness. Do not stand on your chair, Junie B, she said. And please don't fight about Valentines. If someone didn't send you a card, it was just a mistake. No one would do something like that on purpose, I'm sure of it. After that, I sat back down in my seat and I looked at that woman very curious because Mrs. is a nice teacher, but sometimes she doesn't understand children at all. Chapter 6, Bingo. I put my head down on my table because I needed to figure out who didn't send me a Valentine, that's why. I thinked and I thinked real hard. Then all of a sudden I springed up. Lucille, I think I have a plan. I think of how to find that guy. All I have to do is see the names of who signed my Valentines, because whoever is missing is the person who didn't send one. Lucille looked admiring at me. That is very smart of you, Junie B. You should be on cops. I know it, I said. My head is as sharp as a tack. After that, I got out of my Valentines, all of my Valentines in a pile, and me and Lucille looked at the people who signed them. We kept track of their names very good. Only too bad for me. because 7 of my Valentines weren't even signed. Darn, I said. Now what am I supposed to do? Just then I saw Mrs. hurrying up to my table again. Junie B, I have some good news for you. Guess what I just found in the bottom of the Valentine's box? I sat up real quick, because guessing games are my favorite, of course. A meatball! Mrs. did a frown. No, Junie B, why would there be a meatball in the box? Think about it. What have people been putting in the Valentine's box all week? Valentine's cards, I said real excited. Right, she said. And so how many Valentines did you get today? 16. Yes, you're missing one, weren't you? And so what do you think I found in the bottom of the box just now? This time I thought my hardest. A meatball, I said. Mrs. rolled her eyes all the way up at the ceiling. Then I looked up there too, but I didn't see anything. Finally, Mrs. pulled a giant envelope from behind her back. No, this. This is what I found in the bottom of the box. I found this big envelope and it's addressed to you. My mouth came open, very shocked. Then all of a sudden, I clapped my hands, very thrilled. Hey, wait a second here. Maybe this could be my missing Valentine. Mrs. looked funny at me. Bingo, she said. Yes, I shouted. Bingo, bingo, bingo. After that, I jumped up and down and I danced all around because nobody broke the rule after all, and that was very nice of them. After I finished dancing, I opened up the envelope, and it was the beautifulest card I ever saw. It had lace and hearts all over the front and a purple ribbon and waves around the edges. Look, Mrs., look, it's a mushy gushy kind, I said. I always wanted one of these things. And who sent it, huh? Read me their name, okay? Who sent it? Mrs. opened up the card and looked at the name. Then she laughed out loud. Who is it from, I wonder? Well, it looks like you've got yourself a fan, she said. She ruffled my hair. This card is signed from your secret admirer. I raised my eyebrows. Huh? Who? A secret admirer is someone who likes you very much. I guess your Valentine Day turned out pretty good after all, she said. Yes, my Valentine Day did turn out almost perfect. Now all I have to do is figure out who my secret admirer is, and I will be in business. After that, I put my head on my table and I closed my eyes, because I needed to think of another plan, of course. Chapter 7. Wink, wink. Another plan did not come easy. I thinked and I think for a real long time. Finally, I tapped on my bestest friend, Lucille. Want to help me, Lucille? I asked. Want to help me figure out my secret admirer? Lucille did mad eyes at me. Just because you have a secret admirer doesn't mean you're prettier than me. I looked surprised. I never said I was prettier, Lucille. It's just that someone in room 9 likes me better than they like you, and so I keep on wondering who it is. Lucille leaned in way close to my face. It's a cuckoo head, that's who it is. My goodness, that Lucille. Jeez, oh Pete's. After that, she scooted in her chair to the end of the table and she turned her head away from me. I did a mad breath at her. Keep acting like that and you'll be sweeping your own castle, I told her. After that, I looked all around room 9 and guess what? I saw William, that's who. William sits right behind me. And he's the shyest guy I ever heard of, and so maybe he might be my secret admirer. I spinned around in my chair and waved at him. Hello, shy boy, I said. William looked kind of nervous at me. What do you want? I wrinkled up my nose. Yeah, only you don't even have to be shy me anymore, William, because I think I know your secret. After that, I put my chin on the table and I winked my eye at him, only I'm not actually good at winking, so I have to say the words. Wink, wink, William. Wink, wink. See my eye? See how it's trying to wink at you? William's face started to sweat. Turn around, please, he said. I did a giggle because that boy is shyer than I thought. You are a silly sausage, William, I told him. Then I tried to tickle him under his chin, but William swatted my hand away. I tapped my fingers on the table. Okay, here's the thing, William. Swatting my hand is not actually nice, and so please do not do that again. After that, I tried to tickle his chin again, but this time he ducked under the table. And I did a frown, because something did not seem right here. Finally, I bent my head down and I peeked at him. I'm going to take a wild guess here, William. You're not actually my secret admirer, are you? No, said William. No, no, no. After that, I did a big sigh and I turned my chair back to my own table. And I looked all around room 9 again. And guess what boy I saw next? I saw Polly Ellen Puffer, that's who. And he is always teasing me. I zoomed to his table speedy fast. Wink, wink, Polly Ellen Puffer, I said. Wink, wink. What's wrong with your eye, he said. Thank you for the beautiful Valentine, Paul, I said. Polly Ellen Puffer looked straight at me. Paul? Who's Paul? What beautiful Valentine. My Valentine was the one with the oozy slime monster on the front. Don't you remember it? Just then I made a face, because I remember it, of course. I hurried back to my seat again. That's when I saw a boy named Ham. And Ham hardly even knows me. And so he was worth a try, I think. I went to his table. Okay, Ham, I'm running out of patience here, so listen very careful. I winked my eye at him. Wink, wink, Ham, wink, wink. Now, are you my secret admirer or not? And please tell me the truth, or you will be sorry. Ham stuck out his tongue at me, and he put his thumbs in his ears, and he flapped his hands up and down. Alrighty, I'm gonna take that as a no. After that, I went back to my table, and I sat down real frustrated, and I put my head in my hands very glum, because guess why? Finding a secret admirer is not as easy as it sounds. Chapter 8. Who knew? Pretty soon the bell rang for recess. I hurried over to my friend Grace, because maybe she would help me find my secret admirer. Both of us skipped outside to the playground. Then all of a sudden I stopped real fast, because I accidentally left my beautiful Valentime on the table, and I didn't want anyone to take that lovely thing. Wait, Grace, wait right here. I'll be back in a jiffy, I said. After that, I ran my fastest back to room 9. And guess what? I spied that meanie Jim on my table, and he was picking up my beautiful Valentine card. Hey! What do you think you're doing, mister? Then I zoomed to my table speedy quick, and I yanked that card right out of his hands. After that, I started running to the door, but meanie Jim springed up in front of me, and he held up his hand. Stop! Don't take the Valentine outside. If you take it outside, you'll get it dirty. I squinted my eyes at that boy. No, I will not get it dirty. And anyway, this is not your business, Jim. Jim stomped his foot. Yes, it is too my business, Junie B. Jones, he yelled. That card costed me a whole month's allowance, and I don't want you to get dirt on it. As soon as he said it, he quick put his hands over his mouth. But I already heard his words. I did a gasp. You, Jim? You're the one who bought me this card? Why? How come? Is this some kind of mean joke? Yeah, no, I didn't buy that card. It just looks like it costed a lot of money, that's all. And whoever bought it spent their whole entire allowance, I bet. I kept on staring at that boy because something smelled like fish here, that's why. But if you're not the one who got me the Valentime, then how come you're acting so funny, Jim? And how come your words are sputtery and nervous? And how come your face is red and blotchy-ish? Just then Jim clunked himself in the head. Darn it, he said. I knew I would ruin it. I always ruin everything. Now everybody in room 9 will know that you and I are friends, and I wanted it to stay a secret. All of a sudden, my whole face felt happy. You like me, Jim? I thought you never acted like you liked me. And so, when do you think you're my friend? That's what I would like to know. Jim's face got a silly look on it. I've always liked you. It's just an act like I don't, so nobody will know I do. I looked confused. But if you like me, how come you always call me names? Jim shrugged his shoulders. Because you call me names? I did a big breath. Yeah, Jim, I know I call you names, but that's because you started it first. No, I did not, he said. You started it. I shook my head. No, Jim, you did. No, Junie B, you did. No, you did. No, you did. No, you. All of a sudden, Jim raised his hand in the air and he waved it around. I called on him. Jim? Maybe we both started it, Junie B. Maybe we both started calling each other names on the same day. Just then I started to smile, because that would be fair of us, I think. After that, I skipped all around in a happy circle. On account of this was a nice development. I grabbed his hand. Hey, Jim, let's go tell Mrs. that we're friends. Want to? Because she will get a kick out of this, probably. But all of a sudden, Jim plopped down on the floor and he wouldn't even budge. I stared and stared at the top of his head. Okay, this doesn't actually seem like that good of a start for us, Jim. He looked up at me. I know. But I can't tell the teacher that you and I are friends. I can't tell anyone. If I tell people, it will ruin everything. Everything? Like what? Like all my friends will know that you and I are friends and that I can be friends with girls, and that would be embarrassing. Plus room 9 won't ever be the same again. I didn't understand. Why, Jim? Why won't it be the same? Because it will be boring. Because if you and I like each other, then I won't tease you anymore. And if I don't tease you, then you won't tease me back. And that means you won't shout silly, funny stuff that makes people laugh. He rocked back and forth on his feet, very bashful. You make room 9 sparky, he said. After that, he smiled very cute, and he poked my arm with his finger, and he made a sparky sound. Zzz, zzz, zzz. I laughed very loud, and I sparked him right back. Zzz, I said. And guess what? Then me and that silly guy started chasing each other all over room 9, and we kept on poking and sparking, and it was the funnest game I ever heard of. Only too bad for us, because all of a sudden we heard a noise at the door. Oh no, it was Mrs. She caught us in the room. Hey, what's going on here? She said. You two are supposed to be on the playground. Me and Jim stopped very fast. Then Jim looked kind of nervous at me, and he was afraid I would tell his secret. All of a sudden, I pointed to him kind of mad. It's his fault, missus, because Jim poked me and I made a sparky sound, and then I had to poke him back and make a sparky sound too, only I couldn't let that be the end of it, and so pretty soon we were chasing and sparking and chasing and sparking, only now you came in at the door, and so the chasing and sparking are over, apparently, and so we would just like to be on our way to the playground, please. I tapped on her. Pardon me while I get by. Mrs. rolled her eyes way back in her head. Honestly, you two, it's Valentine's Day. Can't you get along for just one day? After that, she took us out by our hands, and she marched us outside, and we waited for her to leave. And is that it? Oh, no, there's more. Then he looked at me kind of shy. You did good, he said. Thank you for not telling my secret. I smiled at that nice boy. That's okay. Thank you for my mushy gushy Valentine. After that, I faced my eyeball at him. Wink, wink, Jim. Wink, wink. And guess what? Jim pointed his eyeball right back at me, and he winked very perfect. Like that. Perfect, huh? After that, we run off to the playground with our friends, or else people might think we liked each other, and that would ruin everything. That's how come I never told anyone about Jim's secret, not even my bestest friend, Lucille and Grace. Because Meanie Jim is the bestest secret admirer I ever had. And guess what else? Room 9 is still staying sparky. Zzz. All right, so let's talk about what happened at the end there. So Junie B got a special Valentine that was way fancier than anyone else got. And then she found out that it was Jim the whole time. And she thought, Jim, why? Why would you get me something nice? I thought you and I didn't like each other. And he said, well, actually, I do like you, Junie B. I'd like to get into arguments with you because it makes the room exciting and it makes you say funny things. And so I wanted to talk about that with you. So I don't know if you need to be in an argument for things to be fun. I don't know if you need to be mad at someone and shout for entertainment to make people laugh. So I see what's happening at the end of the book, and I'm glad Junie B and Jim realize that they're actually friends. But my worry is that they're thinking about it the wrong way. You can be friends and still say funny things and still be kind. But my worry is that Junie B and Jim will still say mean things to each other, unkind things. And so, I don't know. I hope that doesn't happen. But I just wanted to talk about that ending for a little bit. That's not the best ending I've ever heard of. I wish, if I was Barbara Park, the author of this book, I would have changed it so that way after she got her Valentine, they realized that life was better if they were friends, and they could be friends and still say funny things to each other. That's a better ending, I think. All right, boys and girls. Well, thank you for reading with me, and I will see you next week for another Junie B. Jones book. Goodbye.